is your name, please?
My name is Jimmy James.
My name is Jimmy James.
My name is Jimmy James.
Only one of these gentlemen is the real Jimmy James. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. Tom Poston, Peggy Cass, Orson Bean, and Kitty Carlisle on To Tell the Truth. To Tell the Truth is brought to you this evening by Texaco. In all 50 states, you can trust your car to the man who wears the star, the biggest friend your car has ever had. And now, here's your host, Bud Collier.
Thank you very much. And welcome again to Tell the Truth. Good evening, panel.
Good evening.
I tell you, what a symphony. What a symphony. It certainly is. In front of you, you will find an envelope. You may open up that first one, if you will, and follow along with its contents as I read from my copy. I, Jimmy James, am a Mustanger. I capture and break wild horses known as Mustangs. Mustangs, as a breed, are direct descendants of the horses that the Spaniards introduced to the New World some 600 years ago. Later, they were left to run wild. During the Civil War, they were trained as army horses, and after the war came to be known as the horses that won the West. There are very few wild Mustangs left, and this summer will mark my last roundup. I catch and break Mustangs strictly for riding purposes. The method I use is called Bronc Stomping. It's a fast way to break the Mustang, but it's a little rough on the cowboys. I have therefore come to be known as the wildest of the Mustangeros. Signed, Jimmy James. Panel, these three gentlemen all claim to be Jimmy James, who'll start the questioning with Kitty Carlisle. Kitty?
Thank you, Bud. Number one, is there any significance in the length of your hair?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it's a little long.
Well, I'm a do a little singing now and then, you see.
You do a little singing on it. Number two, is there an island where these horses run wild?
No.
You don't know?
Not that I know of. No, I'm from Colorado, and they run all over the West.
Number three, where do your horses run around?
Around near Flagstaff and Winslow.
What is, number one, what is Bronc stomping? What is this method?
Bronc stomping is a way of breaking horses by throwing a saddle on them and climbing on and letting them buck.
And trying to hang on as long as possible.
Yeah, stay on the best you can.
Thank you.
Tom Poston.
Thank you. Number three, you Indian, I presume.
Yes, I am.
Do you know how your forefathers broke wild horses without saddles and so forth?
Yes.
And how did they go about doing that?
Well, they have actually three men in the whole thing to one horse. Like, they have the anchorman who ropes the horse around the forearms, and then they have another person who puts on, after the horse is being roped, they have a second person come up to put the halter on, or hackamore is what it's called. And then the third person, while the hackamore is being put on and the horse is laying down on the ground, the third person comes up and puts the saddle on.
Thank you. Number one, how do you round up your wild horses, or are you involved in that?
Yes, well, we have a bunch of cowboys on a horse, and they're all on horseback, and then we find a big herd, and we surround the herd and run them to where we want to catch them.
Peggy Cass.
Number three, where are these horses mostly found? All through the West or in one particular part?
No, they're throughout the West. You can find some different isolated areas.
Thank you. Number one, is there any such a thing as a pure Mustang left that hasn't been crossbred with other horses?
Yes, there are horses that you could still find a few of them running wild. There's not too many, but there are a few.
Thank you. Number two, how many hands high does a regular Mustang run?
Runs about 14 hands compared to 16 hands for a normal horse.
Thank you. Number three, there was a movie about catching wild horses. What was the name of that movie? With Clark Gable and Marilyn Monroe was in it?
I don't think I know.
Oh, thank you.
Orson Bean.
Thank you. The Indians, number one, are responsible for Indian pudding, Indian wrestling, and Indian nuts. However, and Pocahontas, and tobacco. How long have I been sleeping? But they are not responsible for horses. That is correct, is it not?
No, the Mustang
was brought over by the Spaniards many years ago, and the Indians never actually saw a horse until the Spaniards
And
brought
number
him.
three, you stole them all from us, right? And rode away laughing, right?
That's right. Better than walking.
What?
It's better than walking.
Great. Revenge is sweet, right, number three? Number two, aren't all horses are direct descendants, as the Mustangs were now, of the ones that the European settlers brought over. But are Mustangs a breed? I thought that any wild horse was a Mustang. That's not true. Huh?
A Mustang is a Spanish horse, and it's kept its own type of breed.
Yeah?
It's a Bronco's a wild horse, and the word Mustang came from...
I got a better question I want to know the answer to. Okay. Oh, it was so good. Write in a plain, unmarked envelope. So
That's it.
I'll tell you the question.
Time for you to write in. Time for you to mark your ballot. So please mark them at once without change and without any consultation. Vote now, panel, if you will, and select number 1, number 2, or number 3. And our team of challengers will receive $250 for every incorrect vote. Ballots all marked? Tom, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number 1. Bronc stomping is a very tough business. And I think number 1's hair would give him reason to be very tough very often.
Peggy Cass.
I didn't vote for number 1 because I think that hair would get in the way with all those horses. And number 3 looks as though he'd be it, so I voted for number 2. He's nice and strong looking, too, number 2, like he could knock the horse right over.
Orson B.
I voted for number 3 because he looks like an Indian to me. That's what I always believe an Indian should look like. And an Indian would know how to, my Mustang has seat belts.
I noticed, Kitty Carlisle.
I voted for number 3 because he sounded as though he knew a great deal about this kind of thing, and I'm sure he inherited this from his ancestors.
Very well, there we have it, with the votes all in and the minds firmly made up. Good reasons given. We'll try now to find out which one of these 3 gentlemen in truth is Jimmy James of the West. Will the real Jimmy James please stand up? Well done, gentlemen. Good job of fooling. Thank you. Number 2, what is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Cliff Taylor. I'm a professional ski instructor, and I originated the new ski called the Shorty Ski.
Take your And number 3, what is your real name and what do you do?
My name is Little Buck, and I teach arts and crafts in the Boys Clubs of America, New York.
Taking the score, we find that your stop to see us was a good one and a very profitable one. There were 3 incorrect votes at $250 each for a total of $750, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your visit. Hope you had as much fun as we did. Good night, and God bless you. All right, let's meet our next team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is J. Rosenberg.
My name is J. Rosenberg.
My name is J. Rosenberg.
And again, open your envelope and find out what this one's all about by following along with me. I, J. Rosenberg, am the author of the Impoverished Student's Book of Cookery, Drinkery, and Housekeepery. In my cookery section, I tell you how to use expensive spices to make cheap foods taste better, what to do with leftover bread, and why you should drink spiced water instead of coffee or tea. Typical dollar-stretching recipes are altered stew, inside-out garlic bread, and primordial chicken. In the housekeepery section, I suggest that the impoverished student's apartment can be handsomely, though cheaply, furnished by a judicious use of old boards, cement blocks, used travel posters, and the Salvation Army. I have subdivided the drinkery section into 2 parts, beer and non-beer. Under beer, I help balance the budget by offering a formula for home brew. If you can afford non-beer, you're not an impoverished student and have no business reading my book in the first place. Signed, J. Rosenberg. Now, Now, panel, these three gentlemen all claim to be J. Rosenberg. Let's start this cross-examination with Peggy Cass.
Thank you. Number 2, do you know how to make moose milk?
Oh, moose?
No, you don't? Well, that's a famous impoverished student's recipe. Tell me, number 3, what is the most expensive spice that you recommend?
Well, the spices, the expensive spices in the affidavit means you buy the top quality brands rather than the cheaper brands of spices. There's not really much price. The most expensive spice I know is saffron.
Thank you. Number 1, don't you think that you can buy pretty cheap wine? I know you can buy cheap wine.
Yes, you can buy cheap wine, but again, to make a more simple drink, in our frat parties we've bought a bottle of, or a gallon of hard cider, which runs about $1, and add a quart of ginger ale, make a champagne.
Oh, wonderful, marvelous. Tell me, number 2, it says that you use the Salvation Army. What do? Buy up old tambourines for decor?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I can use them for anything. Old furniture, old tables, old trunks.
Oh.
Horse and bean.
Yes, number 3. You know, at the automat, you can make a very palatable lemonade for free. Over at the iced tea section, you get about 8 lemon wedges, squeeze them into the glass, add a little sugar, water to taste. You can even go back and complain your ice is gone because you have so much. Maybe you can put that in the second edition. Number 1, booze is one of the great things that makes it possible to be a college student, beer or otherwise. Don't you agree?
I certainly do.
Really? Well, it gets you through the long years. Do you teach how to make beer, like in the bathtub?
Yes, we don't teach exactly. In our booklet, we listed a recipe for making beer. It's quite simple, about $0.10 a quart.
Is it legal to do so?
No, it is not. It is illegal even to make beer in your own home.
Well, number 2, I thought you could make a certain quantity of beer or wine without...
You have to write the government first and get a license.
Oh, that's how it is, friends. Write in and complain to the government about it.
Kitty Carlisle.
Number 3, what is the alcoholic content of cider? Hard cider.
Hard cider, between 6 and 12%, I think.
Oh, number 2, if you water down your hard cider, then does it work just like an ordinary alcoholic beverage?
You need twice as much cider then.
Twice as much. Number 1, where is the Salvation Army here?
Salvation Army in New York, I would not know because I'm from Buffalo, New York.
Oh, but is there a Salvation Army in Buffalo?
Yes, there are 2 locations.
Do you know, number 3, where the Salvation Army is here?
No, I'm from Pittsburgh.
Number 2, what is primordial chicken?
That's the simplest thing you can do to chicken to make it still tasty.
What is it?
Or you can put a little bit of oil on it first, maybe a little bit of tarragon.
But you have to buy the chicken. You don't steal the chicken.
No, you don't steal the chicken.
What is inside?
Any Hungarian recipe.
Tom Poston.
Number 3, what is spiced water, please?
Primarily sweet spice and sugar, cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, allspice, and such. You boil it.
Well, that's nice, but number 2, why would you say that was better than coffee or tea?
It's a good change. It's lively, it's good for colds. It depends what spices you put in it.
Number 1, would you please tell us your idea of the housekeeping essentials for cleanliness in your digs?
Would you want the entire list or a couple little...
Well, suppose you're poor and you don't have much money.
Well, the book was primarily on housekeeping. It was not keeping the house necessarily clean, but how to keep it well furnished inexpensively.
And dirty.
Oh, and dirty.
and dirty.
Number 2, what would you do about laundry and dry cleaning to cut corners? And
I would avoid it at all possible.
That's all we have time for. So, mark your ballots, if you will, please, panel.
We're going to have to mingle with these guys and talk to them later.
You notice you're on opposite sides of the stage. Mark your ballots without any consultation and without change. Right now, if you will, please, and vote as you do so for number 1, number 2, or number 3. All marked? All right. Tom, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number 3 because I went to school around Pittsburgh, and I know we had to really know about cutting corners, so I thought it was number 3.
Peggy Cass.
Well, I almost voted for 3 because saffron is the most expensive spice that I know of, too. But I had to vote for number 2 because you drink twice as much cider and be washed in the scuppers and dirty and have a ball all through school.
Orson Bean.
I voted for number 2 on the grounds of the fact that he's funny. And I think the book is funny, and he looks like he's had primordial chicken. And the Salvation Army really swings in Buffalo, number 1. And you didn't know where it was. I guess you did.
Kitty Carlisle.
I had to vote for number 2 because he solved the problem of washing and laundry in the way that I'm sure all poor students do, Send it home to Mother.
Very well, there we have it. Again, the votes are all in and the minds are made up, as you heard. Let's find out now which one of these gentlemen, in truth, is J. Rosenberg. Will the real J. Rosenberg please stand up?
Upwind. Downwind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I tell you. Now, number one, what is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is John Morrissey. I'm an investigator for Merchants Mutual Insurance Company.
And number two, you got most of the votes. What is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Charles Harris, and I'm a New York City cab driver.
Well, we checked the score. Incidentally, I should tell you that Jay wrote his pamphlet while an impoverished student at Reed College in Portland, Oregon. And as a matter of fact, the Reed Alumni Association are the ones that published the book. I trust it's doing well?
Very well. The first printing is sold out.
Good. Glad to hear it. In any event, in checking the score, we find 3 incorrect votes. That's 3 times $250. That's $750 for the second time tonight, gentlemen, and thank you very much. Goodbye, and God bless you. And now let's meet our third team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Gay Luce.
My name is Gay Luce. My name is Gay Luce.
Follow along with this one, if you will, panel. I, Gay Luce, am a science writer. For the past 2.5 years, I have been doing research on a subject that occupies 1/3 of a normal person's life, sleep. In science's continuing effort to explore the mind of man, laboratories have performed countless experiments on the anatomy of sleep. Armed with the results of these experiments, and with the help of psychologist Dr. Julius Siegel, I have investigated such areas as insomnia, snoring, sleepwalking, the effect of jet travel and space flight, man's reaction to a prolonged period of no sleep, and the meaning of dreams. I have summarized my findings in a new book entitled simply Sleep, signed Gay Luce. Very well, panel. These 3 ladies all claim to be, as you heard, Gay Luce. We'll start this questioning, if we may, with Orson Bean. Orson?
Thank you. Number one, I dreamed recently I was being chased by an enormous hairy marshmallow. Is this this is not a classic dream symbol, right? No.
It may have been what you ate before.
Oh, I see. I think it's probably right.
Hairy marshmallow before you went to bed?
I think that was it. Yeah, it was a primordial chicken. Number 3, do you believe that sleep is the cure-all that some people believe it is?
Not the cure for everything, I hope.
Well, in Europe, they put you to sleep sometimes for 2 or 3 weeks, and you wake up well from everything from dowager's hump to psychoneurosis. Do you believe in that?
I don't think I'd have much to say about it, no. I've never tried it.
Have you heard about it?
Yes, I've heard about it.
You have no opinion, huh?
None at all.
All right. Number 2, do you believe that restlessness at night is a sign of unhappy status in the with
Say it, Orson. Say it.
I'll ask you later, number 2. Holy
Kitty Carlisle.
Number 2, I read somewhere that the eye pattern changes when a person is dreaming while asleep. Is this true?
Yes, that's what most of the research has been about.
Now, number 1, if one is interrupted while the eye pattern is changing, which indicates dreams, constantly, doesn't this produce a kind of tension and anxiety?
Oh, it can produce real mental illness.
Now, in other words, we
That's
must be
what they
allowed to
say.
dream at night.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Very
Number
important.
3, what does the jet flight have to do with sleep? Is it bad for us to sleep while we're jetting through the air?
Not at all.
It's
No.
better.
It's better if you can. The problem is that you change your time zone.
And does that make it difficult for people?
It causes them trouble later, yes.
Tom Poston.
Well, I'm going to ask number 2 about her opinion of Orson's thing about the sleep cure and so forth, and putting people to sleep for a long. Do you know anything about that, number 2?
You mean for putting people to sleep for a long time, like 2 weeks?
Yeah. Do you know anything about that?
Well, I don't know much about that, but people seem to need to sleep every 24 hours. And I think it's doubtful whether to sleep a long period of time all at once would be the same thing.
Oh, well, I don't know either. Number 3, is the effect of the travel, would you say it was different going from north to south, or laterally from east to west or west to east?
Oh, yes, it's very different going north to south.
Which is worse for you, let's say?
What's harder when you're going east-west or west-east?
Well, thank you. Number 1, how long does it take for the body to recover its full capabilities and capacities after a long flight, say, from east to west or west to east?
Oh, at least 3 or 4 days to get back in your clock.
Do you agree with that, number 2?
No, I would say it varied according to the person.
Well, how long would you say that a man making an important decision would have to wait?
Peggy Cass.
Thank you. Number 3, do you conduct these experiments at a hospital?
Oh, I don't conduct any experiments at all.
Oh, well, Dr. Siegel, number 2, does Dr. Siegel conduct his sleeping experiments at a hospital?
He doesn't conduct experiments either.
Oh. Number 1, what does well, I can't say it. See, it's hard to... Monomyades. Do you know that? Does that mean anything to you? Monomyades?
Mammiades?
No, see, it doesn't mean anything to me. All right. Now, number 2, what causes snoring and how do you get them to quit it?
Kick them.
Number 3, is it when a person...
That's all the time we have. We may have started a whole new field of family dispute. How everybody be kicking everybody else in bed at night. Mark your ballots, if you will, panel. There's no time for any further questions. Just mark them now without change, without any consultation. Vote. Vote for number 1, number 2, or number 3. Ballots are all marked. Tom, for whom did you vote this time?
I was going to vote for number 2 until she was harsh with those people who are afflicted with snoring. Not that I do. I'm perfect. But there'd be an awful lot of people with terrible bruises.
You said it.
And I voted for number 3 because she was pretty definite when she says, I didn't do no experimenting. No. Dr. Siegel didn't do no experimenting. No. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
You said that all in the story, you know. The experiments were conducted all around the country. They just simply took the material from it. Peggy.
Well, I voted for number 2 because she's a good practical girl. If he snores, give him a good kick. That's right.
What about if she snores?
If she snores, you say, wake up, honey.
Orson Bean.
Well, number 1 said that it would depend on your clock when you got back, and your digestion is what really suffers from a jet trip. Number 2 said that, no, that's not right. It's according to the person, but clock means the person. It's your inner clock. And number 3 knew about, number 1 didn't know about Peggy's non-amenities, and number 3 knew about snoring. So I voted for number 3.
You better kick that 3. Kitty Carlisle.
Well, I ruled out number 2 because I thought she was awfully harsh, too, about kicking people in bed. And number 1 said about the clock. And I think that's a kind of technical expression that people would use. She's nodding, I'm wrong.
Well, again, we have the votes all in and the minds made up with reasons given. Let's find out now which one of these 3 young ladies, in truth, is Gay Luce. Will the real Gay Luce please stand up? Thank you very much. Thank you. You may be seated. Number 1, what is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Lois Rivkin, and I'm a lecturer for the United Nations to schools and clubs.
And number 2, lovely kicker that you are, what is your real name and what do you do?
My name's Eleanor Lawrence, and I play the flute with the American Symphony Orchestra.
Well, in checking the score, you did all right. There were 2 incorrect votes, as we see, and it's twice $250 for a total of $500, ladies. Not bad for an evening's fun, and I hope you had that because you gave it to us. Thank you, and goodbye, and God bless you. That's all we have time for. Good night, panel. Good night to you, and of course, we'll see you the same time next week. I'll see you tomorrow afternoon on the daytime show, and in the meantime, don't you forget to tell the truth. Night.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production. To Tell the Truth has been brought to you by Crown U-Ban, Instant U-Ban, the premium coffees of General Foods. Johnny Olson speaking. Tonight's program was pre-recorded.